Hello there and welcome along to the 3Motion challenge. It's sharp, it's short, and it is oh so sweet. It's 3 rounds where you can earn yourself a chance to travel to the Tuning World Bodensee. The prize on the line once there, the thing of beauty that is in front of you, the 3Motion simulator. My name is James Kirk. I'm joined by Robert Wiesenmüller, and Rob, what more can we say? A brilliant prize on the line. 3 rounds to try and get yourself in within, and even a chance to try and get it. A fascinating challenge ahead of us in the next 3 weeks.
Hello everyone, hello James. Yes, the 3Motion challenge is finally here, and you can see this beautiful motion simulator there right on the screen with the finest technology developed by TrackTime. Made in Germany, worth over 12,000 euros, and one of you sim racers is going to win it at the Tuning World Bodensee. 7 drivers will qualify for the final today here at Silverstone, so let's have a look.
And indeed, a fantastic circuit to start us off. Often builders, the home of motor racing, most certainly in Great Britain. This circuit has had its fair few variations over the years. The variation of which we are using today is the more recent 2010 version of the Grand Prix circuit. So starting at the new pit building, moving off through Abbey. Any fan of British motorsport will know the rest, although we'll go through the track over the course of the format of this evening. And for the next 3 weeks, it's going to be nice and pretty simple. We start off with a 10-minute qualifying session. We finish up with a 20-minute race. As I said, sharp, short, very sweet indeed. But most importantly for the drivers, Rob, it is not a lot of time to get what you need to get done. And like you say, only 7 drivers qualifying from today, so you got to be on it straight away if you want to even be in with a hope of a chance.
Yes, and you can see in the schedule, unfortunately, we have a little delay today. Very sorry for that. Had a few technical issues that are hopefully solved now, so we will see the 20-minute race and the 10-minute qualifying session before that. So we talked about the prize. Let's talk about the calendar maybe. The Silverstone is just the first qualifier, but there are 2 more coming up.
Nürburgring, of course, a legendary circuit in terms of Germany. And then the real wild card choice, honestly, Twin Ring Motegi, one of the more recent circuits to be implemented into the RaceRoom racing experience. It's a fun little circuit. I'm really excited to be going there. That'll certainly be my first time commentating on the circuit. And Rob, any further suggestion as to why it was included? Was it very much a wild card choice to test the drivers on the final attempt to qualify for the Tuning World Bodensee?
Yeah, of course we were trying to find tracks also that suit these cars, because it's the GTR1 class that is used here, a class that we haven't seen so often in RaceRoom. Recently had the Nissan as an addition. And it's just a nice track that really suits these cars, and it's also completely unknown for most of the drivers. Silverstone actually also makes its debut as an official RaceRoom competition track. It's never been used in one of the championships before, even though it's been in the game for ages, and probably every motorsport fan knows it.
Tell you what, since we are just about to start a lap, how about we go around and take a little look at the circuit if you are unaware. And going on board here, we're going to be heading into turn 1. This is Abbey, a fast right-hander, on board with Julian Kunze, one of the more experienced members of the RaceRoom community. And he's just headed through Farm and into the arena section, although each of these individual corners has their own names, through Village, through the Loop, and then through this left kink of Aintree, and onto the first major straight where we'll be seeing a lot of slipstreaming action, the Wellington Straight, before the heavy braking zone into the relatively slower first, and then it keeps on slowing. Then you've got to punch your way out to Brooklands. We'll be seeing a few overtakes, I imagine, through there. It's straight into the right-hander of Luffield, although unfortunately it looks like Kunze has abandoned that lap on that particular occasion.
I think it's because we're moving into qualifying session now already.
I think so, yeah.
And
as I say, very quick. And so just a reminder, by the way, that it's 10 minutes on the clock, and it's standard RaceRoom procedure, so once that 10-minute timer hits 0, That's your lot. There's no finishing the last lap that you're on. And looking at our grid today, Rob, a lot of familiar names from various different championships. I know that, for example, number 5 there, Jaroslav Honzik, he's not going to be making it today. But the likes of Georgios Zanatos, Thomas Janssen, Bent Banki, Danny Fredriksson, the aforementioned Julian Kunze, Martin Stefanko, Michael Rechel. So many well-known names across multiple RaceRoom championships. But today, in particular, we have a new boy, at least certainly from my experience of commentating. Pretty well known outside of the RaceRoom scene, however. That is the man who pre-qualified in position number 2. That is Niels Neljoks, who races, as I'm sure you will have found out by now, for the Red Bull Racing esports team. A Mexico finalist for the 2018 esports Race of Champions. This guy is not to be sniffed at.
Yes, very experienced driver. As you can see, 5 times Life for Speed champion. This is a few years ago that this game was popular. But yeah, now he's actually the team manager of the Red Bull Racing esports team, who make their debut on RaceRoom. We've seen the Williams team before. We've seen also teams like Saxspeed or Zorg Rennsport, who also come from real racing. Now Red Bull, the next one to make this big step here onto the racing competition. Niels Neljoks, second fastest, hinter Zanatos, who didn't send a picture for the driver presentation. So we went with Niels here, and it will be very interesting to see what he can do in this event.
It's crazy, isn't it? Literally, competition upon competition, Rob. There's a new major name from real-life racing that's looking to make their way onto the esports scene. And this is their manager! If this is their manager, imagine how fast the drivers are going to be.
Actually, Patrick Holzmann was also qualified. That's maybe a name that some of you know who follow F1 esports or iRacing. And he can't make it today. He will hopefully make it on one of the other occasions. So Niels Neljoks, now he starts a lap, and I think now we can follow an entire lap.
Yes, that sounds like a good plan. So we've already gone over this first section, and this first section in particular is going to be quite a hot zone, I imagine, on lap number 1, especially into this corner, farm. It's a difficult braking zone to judge, especially with cold brakes. And I feel like we'll be seeing a few people going deep there, a few people being caught out by the braking zone. But now we're going to pick up where we left off. So Wellington Straight, lots of slipstreaming action, heavy braking zone into Brooklyn. So you've got to turn in, slow the car down to get down to that final apex. And then we're going to flick right into Luffield. It's another corner where you want to get on the power earlier than you actually can. Elongated, patience required, up through Woodcote then and onto what used to be the start to finish straight for the longest time. And into one of the most legendary corners, I'd say, on the circuit, through Copse, fast. I know you got a downshift in these cars, certainly, but going through there at full pelt is an absolute treat, especially when you nail the apex. Into yet another legendary corner, Maggots, and then into the Beckett section, followed up by Chapel. It's through Beckett's, this right-hander, and then the flick left for Chapel. It's more difficult in these GT cars than you would imagine, especially with dirty air ahead of you. That's what Niels is having to deal with. Down the hanger straight now, another great opportunity to slipstream off opponents in front of you, and it's a late braking zone into Stowe Corner. You want to hit the apex there so you can get on the power as early as possible on exit. Down into the Vale chicane. For our final few corners, you've got to nail the apex there. You've got to turn it in. You've got to make sure that you hit this one well as well to get on the power as early as possible. It's the theme of this circuit. Through the final corner at Club, that is your lap of Silverstone as it is now. It's a wonderful circuit, challenging circuit. And the man who is mounting this challenge the best at the moment is Mr. Julian Kunze. And to be fair, Rob, that does not surprise me. A man of vast experience when it comes to RaceRoom racing experience. This will be a walk in the park for him, surely.
Well, what does surprise me, though, is that both Kunze and Neljoks have beaten the time from Zanatos from pre-qualifying. He did a 53.9, so they're right on pace. And we can see a Celine, Julian Kunze, currently on provisional pole position. And second place, that's Neljoks in the Ford. In third place, in this beautiful Nissan, well, you can argue about that livery for sure, Thomas Janssen, the only Nissan on the grid.
That's, I think I'm right in saying that's the most recent chronological car on the grid as well, right? That's the most up-to-date one. Because that 4GT was 2005. I mean, the Celine, we're talking early 2000s, certainly.
Well, I think the Ford and the Nissan shared charity racetracks at the end of the 2000s, like 2009, 2010, back when there was also Lamborghini on the grid and so on. The Saleen actually is a little bit older, but of course, with the RaceRoom balance of performance, they're fairly close here. Most drivers went for the Ford, but Janssen proves that the Nissan is very competitive as well.
And what sort of certain characteristics are we looking at? I mean, the Nissan, certainly one of those cars which you know it's going to do well on the straight. Some people are affectionately refer to it as the barge because, goodness me, it's a block that moves at a great pace. We know it's got good pace on the straights, but what about the Ford? What about the Saleen? What particular characteristics do they bring to enhance the driver's skill set?
Well, I think the biggest difference is between the Nissan and the other cars. Because the Nissan is a front-engine car, it's very heavy. It's fast on the straights, it's not so good in the corners, but it should be quite good with the tire wear here. Both the Saleen and the Ford are quite similar actually from the specs. Ford generally a little bit more slidey than the Saleen. Rear tires is very important to keep them cool, but it's also probably just a tiny bit faster, at least in qualifying session. So yeah, it will be interesting to see. Here we've got the man who was fastest in pre-qualifying, who's just invalidated this lap here, Georgios Sanitos. So.
He's an interesting figure, isn't he? We've seen him show good pace before when it comes to one lap. He's struggled to convert that into race pace, however. So we're looking at him now. He's doing pretty well up there in P5, hanging with very esteemed company. I mean, you look at the rest of that top 5, Kunze, of course, New Boy, although we're expecting him to do well. Noyox, of course, you've got Janssen, Hasse. Behind Zanatos, you've got the likes of Benz Bunky, Martin Stefanko, Michael Rekel, you know, all experienced names, all top of their game drivers. To be fair, we've got some newer folks as well. Of course, Roman Zico Pont here, who's one of our new Spaniards from the Spanish Churi esports team. We do love a bit of Churi in our RaceRoom racing experience. It's great to see new blood like this coming into the sector. But yeah, for Zanatos, so much potential, Rob. I'm waiting to see him convert it on a regular basis, though.
Yes, but as a rule of thumb, the faster the cars get, the more difficult they get to drive, the better Zanatos gets. So these cars are probably right up his alley, and, you know, provisionally P5, that already proves that he's back on form.
So really, not too much of qualifying left already, unless my eyes deceive me. We're at the 2-minute mark. So hardly any time. If you're not out on circuit now, you're certainly not finishing a lap. It's still Kunze on provisional pole position, but Florian Hasse here, his compatriot, looking to demolish that provisional pole position time. A purple first sector indicates that he's done the fastest first sector of anyone on circuit. That's Saleen swerving around through the corners. It's a personal best in sector 2 for Hasse. Is it a personal best in sector 3? It is, but it's only good enough to improve his time, not even gain a position.
The two Euronics teammates certainly on the pace, but that final sector from Julian Kunze was really, really strong. Lars Baumler here, crossing the line, staying in P14. He's also a debutant, at least in Server 1, and he's taking a wild line there. Got a couple more debutants. We saw Matt Webb already on the screen. Marcin Boron is on the grid. Actually, Buron and Boron are both on the grid, and they're right behind each other.
They got Boron and Buron. It's you can definitely tell the difference because one of them's Polish and one of them's Czech. So cool. The flags will be able to distinguish between the two. But it's great to see, I mean, especially in such a short championship, I guess some might not want to prioritize it. They'll be looking elsewhere. And so it does give new blood a chance to really come in and test their wits against some of the top talent. And top talent has turned up, Rob. I mean, you just got to look at that top 10 and think, yeah, you know, they are really going up against it.
Yes, and what we shouldn't forget here is that the top 7 of this race qualify for the finals. So next time, in 1 week, we will see probably a completely different grid, as here we have the qualifying results. Couple of drivers still on their laps, but only Norbert Posan, who's in 21st, is still on the personal best at the moment. So it looks like Kunze is going to take the pole position ahead of Naujoks, Janssen and Hasse.
So yeah, an important point you bring up there. This isn't like any regular championship where we're looking to earn points. It's very much, you've got to finish inside the top 7, or you pretty much walk away from today with nothing to show for it. So I'm curious to see whether people will be getting a little bit more feisty in an effort to, out of desperation, get into the top 7, or whether they will be nice, calm, respectful with each other. I certainly hope for the second option, but I also hope, I should say, for some impressive and exciting racing, Rob. To be fair, it's RaceRoom racing experience. It's almost guaranteed every time.
Yes, especially with the 20-minute race, and the tire wear on these cars is really big. No one's gonna make a pit stop, I assume, but some people will struggle at the end of the race with sliding cars. So it will be interesting to see who copes best with it.
So, straight from qualifying into the race. There is no warm-up lap to worry about. The cars are ready and primed from the get-go. You'll see there the Celine of Kunze on the right-hand side of your screen, starting on the left-hand side of the circuit. The red lights illuminate above the drivers, and when they go green, we are racing here in the 3Motion Challenge at Silverstone, and it looks to be an excellent start straight from the off for Julian Kunze, clear into turn 1. It was a slow start from Naujorks behind, who was immediately put under pressure by the Nissan of Thomas Janssen, and into the arena section then it is very much Kunze unopposed. Everyone seeming to get through turns 1 and 2 all right, actually. Maybe a couple of people falling down the order there. Cavion and Ben Spunky, one of the big losers there. Bunky all the way down at the back of the field. Of course, he will have 2 more opportunities to try and qualify if he doesn't get into the top 7 in the next 20 minutes. But that is a big casualty at the end of the day. And already someone stopped. It is Ben Spunky who's trying to get going again. I think that might be the end of his qualification hopes, even at this early stage, Rob. Not even a minute gone.
Yeah, big problems there for Ben Spunky, and that seemed like some kind of steering issue as well, or maybe pedal issue, because he was not getting his car going again. Doubt that he picked up so much damage here so quickly in the race. Medweb was off, Garcin was off as well, but at the front of the field they all got away rather nicely with the exception of Bunky. So Kunze leads ahead of Naujorks, Hasse and Janssen.
That's a big point to bring up, actually, is that Haas has been able to jump Janssen in this first half a lap. So the Celine's looking sleek. Xanatos still P5. The other 2 qualification spots currently held by Rechel and Daniel Fredriksson, who's made a good start, actually, up from P10. Zico Point as well, up from P9 to P8. Stefanko, the big loser, down to P9. So Rebiec inside the top 10, which on any other day would be pretty good, Rob, but on today, pretty worthless, honestly, is behind here. Although Kunze immediately under pressure from Naujorks. I was looking at the battle behind, but instead, look at this. Neil's going for it. Immediately, Julian Kunze holds on for now. Florian Hasse behind is able to hold on to third. And as they all stream out to complete lap number 1, it is the top 4 that very much seem to be running away with it. Giorgio Xanatos in a world of his own. Rechel and Fredriksson then looking to secure those final couple of spots. For the top 5 looking excellent in these early stages.
Yes, and that battle for P7, that might be even a little bit more exciting than the battle for the win today. Because you need the 7th place to qualify for the final event, and Zico Point is certainly pushing hard to get there. He was there in the slide, the first of the 2 yellow cars. Just losing the back of Fredriksson a little bit here.
One of our rookies, and currently holding one of the most experienced men in the grid, I'd say. At bay, Martin Stefanko, although that might have been a little bit of a touch from the Ford behind. Who is it already? It's Rebiec, of course, the Polish driver, although he himself is under pressure from Lucas Baron. Baron's actually made a really good start, considering that he was late teens where he qualified, up to P11, not too shabby whatsoever. But here's the thing, we're already closing in on the 15-minute mark of this race. You need to get your moves done early if you want to move up into those qualification slots. For these guys, they can just have fun. In theory, they can race to their heart's content. It doesn't matter what position they finish in, as long as they finish inside the top 7. That's what matters.
That's true, but it looks like they're racing pretty hard. You can see Kunze there swerving a little bit from side to side to break the slipstream, and you can also see that Hasse has problems to defend against Janssen on the straight with the powerful Nissan.
Trying to go around the outside of Stowe.
Look how tall this Nissan is.
It is a boat, isn't it? It's a real battering barge of a car. You do not want to get in its way if it throws itself up the inside. Hasse holding on for now. Looking back at Lucas Baron, of course, and this is going to be worrying for him because Rebiec is starting to fall away from Martin Stefanko and Zico Pon up ahead. That's worst case scenario, isn't it? You do not want to lose touch with those guys who are not even inside the top 7 themselves.
Yes, that's true. And the guy in 7th, that's Fredriksson, of course. He's doing a solid performance at the moment. But Sikopont is closing in a little bit. Again, after his small mistake earlier on. Just jumping a little bit further back here. Corentin Pointeau on P16 as Matt Webb has recovered nicely behind him in P17. 2 of the Salines, actually the next Salines behind the Euronics duo. In between just the Nissan of Janssen and otherwise only Fords.
Here goes Nayox once again, really looking aggressive. And just to confirm, Rob, for the audience out there who might be thinking, okay, well, is this the only car selection they're going to have? In terms of per round, are everyone allowed to choose a new car
yes.
for each new round? Yep.
Yes, next time they can choose a different car. And we also got a couple of cars in this class that were not chosen, so maybe we will see the Gumpert, for example. Very exotic car. Make a debut. It's probably not as fast as the other ones, though, so it's quite unlikely that anyone will pick it at the Nürburgring next time. But yeah, Julian Kunze doing a nice job at the moment, but Naoyox, he's looking pretty racy.
I've been impressed. Looks very stylish indeed. Looks very aggressive. And this, of course, one of the major overtaking spots on track into Stowe. Although it's more difficult, I'd argue, than into Luffield, personally, given that the braking zone and the nature of the corner is a little bit more difficult to navigate than the more heavier braking zone and more slowing nature of Luffield Corner. And here is that all-important man in P number 7, Danny Fredriksson. And I guess what Fredriksson's problem is at the moment is that he's got the dirty air of Mikael Rechl ahead, and he's not been able to overtake, and so you can see Zico Pont behind. And the Spaniard's going to be buoyed by this, surely, because at first we were thinking, okay, well, he's seeming to fall off the back here, but a real renaissance for the Spanish-born driver. He's going to be looking to potentially usurp that 7th position, something, of course, that Danny Fredriksson would not like very much at all.
Yes, and Michael Rechl, back in the day, he was always famous for not being so good on his tires. So in the GT Masters Championship, he was certainly much improved, very consistent over the races. But these cars are so much more about the tire wear. Maybe he's having some issues already. Or maybe he's just taking it easy at the moment. Who knows? But Stefanko and Sikopont are both at the back of him.
By turning up to hard, these GT1s absolutely shred through the tires. That cannot be understated. And Silverstone is hardly the most forgiving as well. I mean, you just got to look at this. Copse Corner is absolutely burning through that front left, and then you got to go hard right, and then you got to go hard left, and then you got to go hard right, and then you got to go hard left again. Such is the Maggots-Beckett's complex. It is torture for those tires, and I'm worried about the Nissan, honestly, sliding in a front-engined car. Mad, but very indicative of how difficult this circuit is. And
Janssen certainly pushing hard here. Fredriksson now actually attacking for P6 around the outside of Rechl. Ooh, that could work. It's a little bit deep.
A little bit too deep, yeah.
Yeah, he has to slot back in not to get a slowdown there. And that really puts Sikopont back into the fight.
Just over 12 minutes remaining then of this 20-minute spectacle. Danny Fredriksson will be looking to absolutely try and make a move on Mikael Rechl that's further back. Lars Baumeler, the Swiss driver, in 18th currently. Looking to move on Matzik up in P17. Webb doing pretty well up in P16 as well with Corentin Pointeau. We've seen a few times around the race room scene in tin tops. Not doing too shabby in P15.
Oh, Matt Webb, that was sideways. And now you can see, this is what's going to happen to almost everyone now.
It's early. It's a drive-through penalty, unfortunately, for Cyril Sauce, who, to be fair, is right at the back of the grid, so not really going to affect our order of things too much. Disappointed by this man so far, Rob. Martin Stefanko. I mean, okay, Ben Spunky looked to have serious problems. Understandable why he's not going to qualify today. In fact, he's retired from the race. If Martin Stefanko doesn't qualify inside this top 7, I'd mark that down as a disappointment myself.
Yes, indeed. It's a bit surprising, but he just can't seem to find a way past Sikopont here. with the debutant here. I mean, he's been racing in Spanish leagues a lot, but the debutant in the official races, and he's doing a fantastic job at the moment to keep his car there up in 8th position. Just needs one driver to make a mistake ahead of him to qualify.
Exactly, and as the race bears on, of course, such is the tyre issue going to escalate, and I feel like I fear that we're going to see quite a few mistakes coming out from drivers once they realise that there's absolutely no grip to try and salvage from the tyres that they're left with in the final 5 minutes. Up at the front, it's closed up, hasn't it? Look at Xanatos holding on to the top 4 as well. Julian Kunze, is he lacking the pace to pull away? Or is he controlling the race? It could go either way, honestly. Both of them are well within Kunze's capabilities.
Yes, I'm a bit surprised that he's not getting away from them, especially from Janssen in the Nissan, because the Nissan was not really supposed to be so quick on the circuit here. It's a bit of a surprise that Janssen is so high up the order.
As still as you were, Kunze from Naox, from Hassa, from Janssen, Xanatos running at the top 5. Then a sizable gap back to Rick. Also, you'd probably say at this point, unless a massive mistake is had, those top 5 should be secure, just surely.
Oh, I think Zarevic has a problem there.
Yeah, you seem to stop in the middle of the corner.
Maybe slow run penalty.
Maybe, yes. Good call. Of course, in RaceRoom racing experience, we have a lovely in-game system, which self-punishes the drivers if they go too far off the circuit. And so Zarebiec seemingly caught a foul. They give the correct punishment of a slow down penalty.
Also, these cars have a really nice sound. I think it's pretty loud today, actually, but you can enjoy it. Anthony Montail, our sound designer, did an exceptional job here as well in preparing the sound for these cars. And I think Stefanko, he's sick of the sound of Zico Pon's car right ahead of him.
He's copied his look. And this has been so impressive from Zico Pon so far.
Oh, very close for the lead. I'm sorry to interrupt you there.
No, go for it.
And now Yox, I think he's trying to go for it, but this is just not a corner to make an overtaking move here in the first corner. Maybe under braking in the next one.
And behind, Janssen's overtaken Hassa.
Oh, yes, indeed. And I think now Janssen is starting to shine with the Nissan.
I'm wondering whether Hassa got a slowdown penalty. He looked a little off.
I don't think so, because he's still ahead of Sanitos. He didn't lose a lot of time.
Yeah. And certainly for Julian Kunze, he'll be hoping that he doesn't lose too much time in this battle with Naox, who's starting to really apply the pressure into Luffield. Oh, he sees a bit of a gap, doesn't he? That's a slide from Julian Kunze. Midway through the corner, he's going to have the inside now as we head through Luffield. And on exit, oh my word, look how much car control is having to be established here to try and keep these things in one piece. Thomas Janssen, by the way, this pace has all of a sudden completely lit up. Janssen left for dust.
Yes, I think he will close the gap now to the cars ahead of him. Janssen flying at the moment, and Stefanko also flying. It's very close there behind Zico Pon for a short moment, but he's not had an opportunity yet to really try to make an overtake.
Struggled, hasn't he? Good news for him at least is that Rickel and Fredrickson up ahead haven't really escaped on up the road. But he needs to make it past this Spanish debutant for Churi Esports, otherwise he's not going to get in there at the first time of asking. Now York's looking up the inside of Stowe. He still sees an opportunity, but that's a good line from Julian Kunze. Covers off the exit. Now York's now maybe looking to the inside of the Vale chicane. He goes for it. Banging doors with each other. Kunze still on the inside as we exit. And there is Janssen, ready to go up the inside of Club. Almost contact. Is contact. And now York's round streams across the track. Excellent avoiding maneuver from Florian Hassa. And I really don't know who to put the blame on there, Rob. I think Janssen had the inside line. Now York's completely caught unawares. And there goes Zico Point up into the top 7.
That was dangerous stuff, and it was not necessary. Oh, now Yox again. Squeezing, and Stefanko's gonna go past both of them. Beautiful move from Stefanko. Oh, he gets tapped by Zico Point.
And here goes Zico Point up the inside as well. Oh, it's all kicking off now, isn't it? Last 5 minutes or so, going absolutely Pete-tong. Zico Pot then still remains in P7. Debatably, I might say that was a little bit naughty on Stefanko. And there goes. Goodness me, Naoyok's up the inside of Stefanko. Stefanko on the inside. Naoyok's giving no mercy here. Going for every single opportunity. Stefanko holding on for now. Zico Pod holding on for dear life. What a result this would be if he was able to finish P7.
And now we've got the battle that we were looking for. Naoyok's really aggressive at the moment. I did not expect that level of aggression from him here in the race.
It just kicked off. It just completely devolved into a mad dash for what is now P7. Of course, the likes of Jansson, I mean, Xanatos has overtaken Hasser in all of this, of course, and Hasser did extremely well to avoid the spinning Naoyoks, but those four seem absolutely safe now. They look absolutely fine in their quest to qualify for the Tuning World Bodensee final.
Naoyok's going for a move once again on the inside of Stefanko, and I think this time he is through.
Desperate man. Desperate measures. Ecopod still in control of that P7 position. 4.5 minutes left on the clock. That's going to be 2 or 3 more rotations of this Silverstone circuit, Rob. Time of the essence.
Yes, and there was just a question in the chat, can you still make it for the next round? Yes, of course you can. Qualifier is still open until Monday afternoon. RaceRoom.com/ game.raceroom.com/competitions, and you can make it as well. Top 30 will qualify.
Of course, that round could be held at the Nürburgring for our final round of the league season, or the qualifying season, I guess we should call it, at the Twin Ring Motegi. And one of Naoyok's, goodness me, he gains so much time under braking, so confident in these cars. But he's got to be aware of his surroundings, Rob. It was arguably his own fault that he finds himself down in this position. He does not want to squander this final last chance saloon.
He will have another try, of course, if he fails this time around. But this looked like a safe qualification for Naoyok's here. Kind of threw it away. Now he has to work for it against Sikopon. Oh, I think this is a slowdown penalty for Sikopon. Went too wide there on the exit. Let's see if he has to slow down.
It's okay for now.
Has 60 seconds to take the slowdown.
And to be fair, if he would do the slowdown anyway, it would be on this straight, the hangar straight. I don't see him slowing down. I don't see him making any attempt to slow down. I think he got away with that. And so battle seems to have resumed.
Oh, good exit here for Naoyok's. Has to take the outside.
That's nicely done. This is an incredibly mature drive from Roman. Excellent stuff so far. And he's only got 2.5 more minutes to survive, so it will be this lap. It will then be next lap, the final lap. Naoyok's, I'm gonna do the pun. It's now or never.
Yes, and we've seen how aggressive he can be. So let's see when he finds an opportunity, because Sikopon, he has notably slowed down a little bit. Sideways again.
He looks like an in-control sideways, Rob. He looks immensely faster than Sikopon at this stage. All over the back of him, searching every which way to find a way through. But again, into Brooklands, into Luffield, there's no way through.
I think he will go for it, if he can keep his car on the road, that is. Let's just go through the order once more before we focus on the battle on P7. Kunze, big lead now, ahead of Thomas Janssen in the Nissan with a great performance here. The fastest Ford only in P3 is Georges Sanitos, so under pressure by Florian Hasse. Echel in P5, Fredriksson in P6, they will all qualify if it remains like this. And this man here as well, Roman Sikopont, in the last position, which is good enough for a direct ticket to the Tuning World Bodensee. Or the final, where you can win the 3Motion simulator.
It's a simulator worth 12,000 euros. It is a lovely piece of kit. And I'm sure that every one of these drivers will be extra excited to vie for the prize. And I'm pretty sure that Fredriksson and Rekel will be looking behind him and thinking, oh my goodness me, I'm delighted that everything that is happening behind me is so. Zico Pont will have looked in his rearview mirrors and his eyes would have surely lit up looking at now Yox almost spinning. Excellent save. But that might just have ruined his chances of a top 7, Rob.
I think he's got one more lap. Let's actually see where Kunze is.
Yeah, one more lap, absolutely. This is the final lap.
Yeah, Kunze now on the final lap.
Even still, tyres definitely becoming more of a concern. For all of the guys, P1 through to P6, you've just got to nurse it home at this point. I know that you want to fight for pride, certainly, otherwise you wouldn't be a racing driver.
Asa actually went past Zanetos, Asa now in third. I think Zanetos also knows what he has to do here. Lisasu now in a close battle with Buron.
All of these positions.
Could be worth for a qualifier if there are some time penalties after the race.
Yeah.
So who knows? Certainly Naujoks and Sikopon both have been in the middle of the action.
And of course, at the end of the day, it's good practice. Good chance to hone in your racecraft for another push next time out at the Nürburgring in 1 week's time. For now, though, the clock has hit 0. Time is up, and once we cross the finish line this time around, that's the end of the race. Zico Pont only has a quarter of a lap remaining, Rob. Can he hold on?
It's looking more and more likely now. Just gonna jump to Kunze. We'll cross the line soon, but we have to focus here on the battle. This braking zone will be crucial. Now Juk's always so strong on the braking. Can't make it here, maybe into the next corner. Just jump to Kunze as he crosses the line. Congratulations to Julian Kunze, winner and directly qualified. But we have to go back here to Naujoks and Sikopon to see who comes out on top. Sikopon holds the inside here. And I think it's just about enough.
He has done it. So it's Kunze who wins then. Round 1 of the 3Motion challenge. Janssen and Hasse round out the podium.
Slow down for Naujoks. Slow down for Naujoks in the final corner. He will get another time penalty probably for that. He's behind Stefanko now.
Well, thankfully, it didn't matter too much on circuit. Certainly, Zanetos, Rekel, and Fredriksson rounding out the top 6, and the final qualifier, or the final the final person to qualify for the Tuning World Bodensee final in P7. Such an impressive and controlled performance from Roman Zico Pont, the Spaniard, doing himself so proud there. For Niels Raujoks, it's a question of what if. If only he had been a little bit more calm, a little bit more patient when he was in a strong position, very much threw away his chance to qualify this time around. Of course, there are 2 more attempts, that is for sure. But your top 7, Rob, they've all qualified. Here, now, they can put their feet up. They're done for the day. Kunze, Janssen, and Hasse your podium.
Yeah, you can see Naujoks actually got a 30-second penalty immediately after the race for not taking a slowdown that he got in the final corner. So Buron actually classified as 9th in this race. Lisasu in the top 10. But yeah, Roman Sikopon, it's a shame that we won't see him again now that he's qualified in this race.
Yeah. Maybe we'll see him in other competitions, fingers crossed. Big miss there for Martin Stefanko as well. Surprising to see him not qualify. Of course, there's a number of factors. He might not have had time to practice as much. Or maybe he was just purely off the pace, Rob. Either way, again, similar story to Niels. He'll have a couple more chances to try and get into that live final.
Yes, and look at the prize once again. Of course, we will see Sikopon again in the live final. 3 races will be driven at the Tuning World Bodensee. And you can win this motion simulator here, 3Motion, a TrackTime technology made in Germany, super high-end. I've driven it before, and it's top-notch. That's all I can say. If you want to drive it too, make sure to participate in the qualifier on RaceRoom, game.raceroom.com/competitions, and then pick the 3Motion challenge. And also, I've heard that it will make the way to the RaceRoom store pretty soon. So if you have a little bit of spare money and a little bit of space for this thing, you can maybe buy it and drive it at home.
Plenty to look forward to then. And next round comes next week. We head to Germany and to the Nürburgring for round 2 of 3 of the qualifying season before the following week. We then head to our final qualifying round of Twin Ring Motegi. Plenty of great racing action to come here in the 3Motion Challenge, and we absolutely hope that you will be joining us next time out to see who is able to get themselves inside the top 7 and join the 7 that have qualified today. There's already 7 excellent drivers who are going to be turning up to the Tuning World Bodensee.
Yeah, and let's not just to interrupt you shortly. Let's not forget that, of course, the incident between Sikopont and Stefanko will be reviewed if Stefanko decides to write a report. So it's not like these results are official yet. Of course, the stewards will make sure that everything was fair and square, as Toto Wolff would say. So
very fair point, actually. I completely forgot about that incident. So fast was the race, so short our time together, but sadly, time has come to an end, and we must wrap up here today for the 3Motion Challenge. So thank you all so very much for watching. Big thank you to Rob Wiesenmüller. I've been James Kirk, and from all of us here, it is a very warm goodbye.